All right, so we are back in the garden. Here we are with the sorghum and amaranth. This spot I had amaranth growing last year. I just had kind of like a little burn pile over here and then sprinkled some seeds around, and they did pretty good. And all the amaranth in here now is just kind of, what would you call that, a volunteer from last year. And those have grown pretty nice. They're like taller than I can reach, so I think they'll make a good amount of grain, at least enough. Definitely enough seed for next year to plant as much as I want. And this over in here, we have the coral sorghum. It's a sort of like reddish purple seeded variety. Making big clusters. It kind of looks like sumac or something if you're far away. There's like the smooth sumac that doesn't have all the fuzz on it. But each of these little kernels, you can kind of cook them like brown rice or pop them like tiny little popcorns. I haven't tried that yet, so once these dry down a little bit more, I'm going to be harvesting them. I probably could harvest a couple of these heads now. Like this one is pretty much mature. But then if you look around, I don't know if you can see with the light there, but some of these are still very, very, very green. It almost seems like there's, here we go. Yeah, this is very green. And at this stage, you could you could probably harvest at this stage for like a green vegetable, kind of cook it almost like you would green pea, like sweet peas or something. Wouldn't be quite the same as that, but I'm kind of wondering how much like diversity there is in the population, um, which is cool and everything. But yeah, there's like definitely like 50-50 in here, where half the plants look like this and half the plants are very like deep purple. And the purple ones kind of seem like they're the shorter stems in here. Like the shorter ones are pretty much ripe. Then the green ones are a good like 3 feet taller than that. And they top off at like 10 plus feet. So that'll be a good amount of food from like a little seed packet. So I really want to learn more about sorghum and potentially try to incorporate that into my diet. Then the amaranth is starting to ripen up. We have good seed coming out of it now. The plants that are starting to go a little yellower, I think those will probably be good to harvest sooner, whereas some of these ones are still pretty dark green. I'll let them go a little longer. But yeah, we'll keep on moving around, do some more veggie garden tour. I did plant squash kind of intermittently around in there, and they're kind of spilling out over the garden fence and everything. I've got a lot of butternut out of there already. But here we have just a whole lot of asters, little nettle patch, all the wildflowers. I guess I'll just hop in over here. Yeah, here's another example of the green sorghum. Still looking green. Won't be ready for a little bit. Hopefully it'll be ready before frost though. This is a wildflower. I grew some a few years ago, moved, now grew some again. It's mist flower. I really like these. They seem pretty tough, and this is a first year from seed. And the seeds of these, I mean, they look like dust, so considering you can get a little flowering plant in 1 year, that's pretty good. We got the butternuts, lots of different fun shapes. That's from the Joseph Lofthouse Grex or landrace. Nice baseball bat. have a few of those. And another one, I grew these ground cherries this year because I got some plants for free from somebody, and I don't know how I feel about them. They taste okay. They're a little weird and like solanaceous. The plants kind of sprawl all over. The amount of dropped fruit in here means that I will probably have too many volunteers next year. I'll probably have to weed these out of the garden. But they're just kind of fiddly to pick. They're fun if you just want a little snack, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel. What else? I guess I'll just keep moving around in a haphazard manner. This is a Musa Basju, whatever. Hardy Japanese fiber banana. It's grew from a plant about yay tall that I planted in like June. So yeah, like one of these pups. Imagine that pup just had some slightly bigger leaves, and they can turn into a pretty solid plant in a year. So I don't know if I'm gonna let this one overwinter outside just to rough it, or maybe I'll dig this one up. But I do have one in a pot. It's a little smaller than this and doesn't have nice pups like that, but I kind of want to see how big of a banana I could grow just for shits. What else? Tomatoes holding on. There's a lot of these little orange ones kind of splitting. We've had like a ton of rain this past week and a half or something, so spicy chilies, big kale, lots of seedlings of Senna marylandica, little orange flowered legume. Don't know if you could see in there, but I have little hazelnut seedlings kind of sprinkled around in here too. They got a little fried when I moved them from inside to outside, but that kind of happens. Here we have a wall of muskmelon. They're nice little like cucumbery things. Some of them can be a little tart, so I really like them because my cucumber plants melted after making like maybe 3 or 4 cucumbers this year. So these take a little bit longer to get going, but once they get going, they will just grow all the way until frost. And you could pick like buckets of these, but you just have to go through, like sort through all of this and find the little nuggets in there. Like here, this one sort of broke free out of the trellis, is climbing up the kale. But if you're in the kale, you can find a little muskmelon there, a little muskmelon there, all over in here. So it's like an Easter egg hunt. What else? I'm just eating muskmelons. The figs. Fig. I like the leaves on this one. It's like, I don't even know how you're supposed to say that. Like Giacomo Rao or something. It's a little white fig, which these are ripe. They are a little covered in ants. They're splitting a little because of the rain, but that's a nice fig. I'm going to try to open that and hold the camera between my thighs at the same time. Tomato here. Fig. Nice. Yeah, they're like just a little pink on the inside. It's like crack. Oh, but yeah, that one has done pretty well this year. It was a cutting last year, then grew up to like 5 feet tall. That year, died back down to a foot, grew back up to 7 feet tall this year. I could definitely take some nice cuttings from it. There's still a lot of figs ripening up in there. There's a lot that formed right at the base too, so I'll have to pick those too. Then this one, I don't know if they'll ripen or not, but it'll probably go quick in the next couple weeks if they decide to. But the yellow longneck fig, it's absolutely loaded in, big green figs right now. And judging by how a lot of the other figs, they'll make a little green fig, and then once they start to ripen, they just swell up more and get really soft pretty quick. These ones can apparently get to the size of like tennis balls. We'll see if that works or not this year. But they definitely are very vigorous. I think this is the most vigorous fig that I have. Where to now? Maybe another fig? The Midico white. I don't think there's any ripe ones on here now. They're all still kind of green. But they're just starting to get to that stage where the next couple of weeks they'll be ripening up. I think I ate all the Chicago Hardies, but those are boring anyways. They're still good. Chicago. We have some bone set growing here. I always like those. Just a nice spray of white. Oh, and my battery's dying. I will be right back. Okay, we're back at the battery recharge station. Going back into the garden. Yeah, haven't really made too many videos lately, but I've definitely been liking the switch to just kind of being like stream of consciousness talking into the back of the camera while I wander around, because it's definitely how I work best, is just kind of like being a little goblin and wandering around. But then the only thing is I don't know if my mic is working, so I'll find out later. But here we have a bunch of asters. I really like the big purple ones. I think, is that the new... Oh shoot, it's either the New England or New York asters. There were a bunch of these growing in an area that was gonna get cleared, so I kind of scooped a bunch up last year and stuck them around in the garden here, and I'll probably be moving them around the food forest later. But it's just like crazy purple. There we have a big wall of sunchokes. They're Jerusalem artichokes. Just big sunflowers. There's two varieties I have in there. One of them's a very clumpy one, and the other one is a little bit more like smaller tubers, a little more, it tends to creep and run a little bit more. I kind of want to get that one out of here though, because the clumping ones are nice and they're easier to harvest, easier to clean. That one is kind of a pain in the butt. I might just spread it around like one of the field edges or something and just kind of let it establish there, but Yeah, it's not the best when you put it in the vegetable garden. I know, like, you hear everybody say that, but then you're just like, oh no, my garden's different. But Jerusalem artichoke is something you have to think a long time about before you put it in. Here we have the bean trellis that has the perennial thicket bean growing up it, Phaseolus polystachios. There's a lot of beans on it this year. Last year it made a couple pods because that was the first year they got put in, and they didn't really do anything. They flowered really late last year, but this year it looks like I'll get a good cup of beans out of it. I don't know if you can see much up in there. I guess I should probably add some B-roll. There's a lot of pods up there. I'm also growing maypop on this. And these, I don't know if they got pollinated well. They also, first year seedlings, they kind of flowered late. But my friend Mike, who gave me the seeds, has some pretty big fruited maypops. And his, he had some that looked like they were like the size of like oranges. They were huge. But I think these will do well. They grew like crazy this year. I also have a couple of runner beans growing on here. These are actually runner beans that I overwintered from the roots last year. So I kind of dug them up a little bit in the fall, and I was like, oh wow, okay, this one has big roots, that one has no roots. Like there's definitely a lot of variation in the size of their like big fleshy roots. So let's see. These are kind of nice because they make huge beans. Nice, classic. I had a friend call them goth girl beans because the aesthetic, but I think that fits pretty well. Yeah, this whole corner is kind of a little bit of a mess. I also have one Chinese yam growing in here, which, let's see if I could find any of the tubers. I'm just gonna crawl in here. Yeah, I think some of them are starting to fall. There it is. They make these little aerial tubers that then fall down on the ground and then sprout. So this whole mess here is all little baby Chinese yam plants. So I could probably get those growing and do like some sort of actual little aerial tuber production system, but I don't know. They're kind of a little bit of a pain to harvest, so you need to set up like a tarp or be able to like shake them right in there. Yeah, this is the inside of one of the maypops. It looks like something got to it, but it definitely wasn't ripe. Oh yeah, and you could see the maypops. I did not plant it here. I planted it over here in this spot. So they are already spreading 2 feet away from the mother plant, or maybe further. So yeah, those are probably gonna go in the forest edge also. They're gonna be not welcome here. Because that's a little too aggressive. What else? Same thing goes with mint. I have a pot of mint here. It hasn't rooted its way into the ground much yet, but it just sends out crazy runners all over the place. And it's a good mint. It's like the chocolate mint, so it's kind of peppermint and a little bit like different stuff going on there. I've actually made a bunch of tea out of this one, but that one I don't really know what to do with mint, because even if I put it somewhere that I don't necessarily like need it or need the space, or I could just let it go free, it will be there forever. Yeah. No clue. But that's probably enough garden for right now. I can wander over into the back. Alright, here we are at the tree line. And yeah, it seems like things now are finally getting a little cleared out. Little blueberries and all of these, thanks to my other friend Ben. Yeah, I've been working on cleaning up a lot of the sticks. I think officially in this whole area, all of the big ashes that were dead are now down. Over there, that's a different story. Over there, that's the neighbor's tree line area, so I'd rather not touch anything there. But yeah, lots of open space with like pretty good sun exposure. The canopy isn't really that closed in here because it's only a couple of red maples and a couple of black walnuts. So I could probably stick in at least I have more pawpaw trees. I could definitely stick some more pawpaws in here. Stick some blackberries in here. I don't know. I have to figure out exactly what to put here. Because I don't want it to be just like more grass to mow. I'd rather have it be all fun wildflowers and all sorts of stuff. But this area I cleared. I got a new old brush mower, and it's like the Billy Goat one, and that definitely helped clear all the little ash suckers and everything that was coming up through here. Here in this row, we've got a bunch of elderberries, and these were all rooted from little cuttings this spring, and now they're coming out of their 4-foot fences. So we've got Bob Gordon's and Pocahontas, and that should hopefully give us a bunch of elderberries. From the one Pocahontas plant this year and the one Bob Gordon, I think I've got like at least 3 gallons of berries like all cleaned up in the freezer. So they'll probably do more next year because this was their first year producing. Elderberries make a lot. I wasn't really expecting that. Here we have the Cornelian cherries that are probably a little too close together now that I'm thinking about it. So maybe I'll move every other one or something early in the spring, because the mature ones can definitely get pretty big. But these are all seedlings of cultivar ones, so they should, in theory, make decent fruit. Worst case scenario is they get turned into fruit leather or something. Then we got pawpaws. Nice little row of pawpaws. These are more pawpaws with little black currant growing next to them. Pawpaw, black currant. Pawpaws, currants. Yeah. So this will be the little pawpaw grove. I put them pretty close together. Most of them are like 10 feet apart-ish. So we'll see how they do, but oops, spider webs. Now we're back into the big clearing. This area, I don't know if I don't know if I have any footage of what it looked like before, but basically it was that kind of stuff there. It was just buckthorn and honeysuckle and a bunch of dead ash trees. And now that we got it all cleared up, it's a bunch of ash stumps covered in poison ivy and some wood that I haven't cleaned up yet. A little brush pile, and it's pretty much entirely asters now, which is pretty cool. There's honeybees everywhere because the neighbor a couple houses down has some beehives, and I'm guessing they're coming over here because they keep their pasture pretty mowed pretty tight, so there's not really much flower action going on over there. But it's all just these little white asters. And some goldenrod too. There's some nice goldenrod in here. This is a nice Kokuso mulberry, the Korean one. That grew from a cutting this year, and now it's got a nice solid, no, not that, yeah, about that big trunk on it, and it's tried growing out of the tree tube, and then it got all hairy up in here and kind of snapped off because it was growing out of the side, and it'll be fine next year. These are seedling sea berries. They're doing pretty good. I have no clue which ones will be males and which ones will be females, but I have some variety ones over that way. In the variety ones, they're all, what are they? Titan? I think that's the variety. But they're all growing pretty good. This is kind of a wetter spot, so I put them on some mounds, threw a ton of wood chips. They don't really need any fertilizer since they're nitrogen fixing. We have Illinois everbearing mulberry. That one will be nice once that starts producing. It'll probably get way bigger than I want it to be. We've got grapes on little hills all in a row. Those should be nice. They should all in theory be very like disease resistant. That one is pretty good. I think that's Clinton. This one's Mars. This one is, I think, Interlaken, which definitely is not as disease resistant, but I don't know. It's an earlier grape, I think, so hopefully if it actually grows okay next year, then it would have fruited by the time it gets all hairy looking. We have more cornelian cherries because I have too many seedlings. More mulberry right there. And then these are the Titan sea berries. This one was grown from a little cutting, and now it's 3 feet-ish tall. Or 4 feet tall. This one is the seaberry male, and it's definitely got a different like architecture and everything to it. It's got spikier growth, it's got littler leaves and way more bushy, and it's kind of growing more outside of the cage than anything. And then this is another Titan, just growing straight up. Those will be cool. I don't know when those are gonna fruit. Then this whole area is all hazels. They're all hybrid hazelnuts. They're getting their fall colors on. They're all pretty much waist height now and just barely getting to the top of the tree tubes. Yeah, hopefully get a yield on those in like 2 years. Now, I have tree tubes on pretty much everything I have planted out here, and this is the reason why. This one was actually, I thought, secured and stapled into the ground, but I came out here the other day and the tree tube was just pulled off and all of the leaves were chewed off. So they definitely like hazelnuts out here. And yeah, so I don't know how that's gonna go in the future. Like if I need to have this all fenced in or not. I'd prefer not to. But yeah, you could tell like this one, which is more of a tree formed hazelnut, grew right up through the tube, has a lot more leaves inside of it. And the deer didn't touch the top yet, which in theory they shouldn't really touch the top much because it's at 5 feet. But like these aronia, I have a bunch of aronia seedlings, and they're all in these little tubes, and they sent out, like aronias are kind of suckering bushes, and they sent out all these little side shoots, and most of those got nipped back pretty hard. So I'll probably need to have them growing in there until they're big enough to have some sort of like center mass where like the deer aren't going to just shove their heads in and eat everything. But nice solid hazelnuts. I don't know, for some of these I feel like I don't know if you could probably get a nut next year. Maybe one. But yeah, them's is the nuts. Then we have this whole area, which I could definitely go through with the little brush mower and clear all that, but I might just wait till after the frost just to hit all these ash suckers, because this whole area, like, remember the dead ash trees just got cut flat at the ground, and it should make a nice little spot for, I'm kind of debating on whether I do like a big vegetable garden here, maybe if I were to fence in an area, because I could clear out more of those more of the buckthorns over there for some better like light exposure and everything. But I would probably want to get a whole lot more wood chips, just to like raise things up, because I don't know if you see this, but oh my god, I'm blanking on what this is called, but this likes to grow in very wet soils, like right around a pond or something, and there's a good patch of it here where it kind of just sinks in a little bit. But then here we had put a whole trailer load of wood chips, and things are starting to break down nice after a year. And if I could cover like a bunch of this area in wood chips, I could raise it up, get the drainage a little better, come in with like a broad fork, loosen things up, because it is kind of heavy clay. And from there I could probably do a nice veg garden. But yeah, that's some of the gray, slippy kind of clay soil. But that's what we're dealing with out here. And this is how you fix it, eventually. But then there's also that nice pine there, and I don't want to kill the pine. So maybe the vegetable garden, if I decide to fence in another area, I could always do it like over in here, because there's nothing really going on. There's some goldenrod. There's that pine tree, but that one's not in the way. And then I could have like that whole swath going back there. Alright, so GoPro turned off because it was too hot. So, not sure where I left off, but either way I figured we could end it at the frog hole. It's a little low, it's been wet all week, but it's been misting, so not enough to really refill it. So, yeah. I wonder if I should not be filming in 4K, because, like, who has a 4K monitor anyways? But I feel like 1080p is probably fine. So, yeah, if there's anything else you want to be shown in the food forest, let me know, and I can do that next time. Otherwise, this has been a food forest wander. There's a lot of bees everywhere. Yeah. Alright, adios.